Yes, inflammation matters. It's all around us, but not in the way that we usually talk about it. Inflammation isn't the root problem. It's the body's response to something deeper. Inflammation is a symptom. It's the body adapting to what it's been experiencing for a long time. If you feel bloated, tired, and foggy, it can feel like something is going wrong in your body. But what if your body isn't breaking down, it's trying to communicate with you? Lately, I keep hearing the same thing from women. I think I have inflammation, or I have a lot of inflammation. And it's usually said with this sense of concern, sometimes even fear, like something is wrong or something's getting worse or it needs to be fixed quickly. And you might have thought this too, because when they describe what they're feeling, it sounds like bloating, fatigue, brain fog, joint stiffness, skin flare-ups, and this general sense that their body just doesn't feel right anymore, even when you're trying to do everything. And they start listing everything that they're cutting foods, adding supplements, eating cleaner, doing more to reduce inflammation, and they still don't feel better. And underneath all of it is a question: why is my body inflamed? Because inflammation is often talked about like it's the enemy, something to get rid of, something going wrong in the body. But what if inflammation isn't the problem? When you don't understand the pattern, you keep trying to fix the wrong things. Let's start here, right? Inflammation is a natural response in the body. It's part of how your body protects you. It repairs, it responds to stress. If you get a cut, inflammation helps you heal. If you get sick, inflammation is part of your immune response. So the body isn't making a mistake when inflammation is present. It's doing something on purpose. The issue isn't that inflammation exists. The issue is when the body stays in that state for too long. And here's what I want you to really understand about this. When inflammation becomes chronic, when it's been there quietly in the background for a long time, it doesn't just create symptoms. It starts to change how the body functions. And I want to explain this in a way that actually makes sense for your experience. The gut has its own nervous system. Researchers sometimes call it the second brain. It has its own network of nerves that govern how digestion moves, how the gut responds to food, how signals travel between the brain and the gut. And when inflammation is present for an extended period of time, it can start to change how that network communicates, how the brain and the gut communicate to each other. And the gut begins to adapt around the inflammation. And this is why even for women who don't have a formal diagnosis, even for women who would say, I'm generally healthy, low-grade ongoing inflammation can start to show up as digestion that feels unpredictable, reactivity to foods that never used to bother you, bloating that doesn't seem connected to anything specific, a body that just feels more sensitive than it used to, because the system has started to reorganize itself around what it's been experiencing. This isn't the body failing, it's the body adapting to its experience. And this distinction matters enormously because it changes everything about how we support it. And this is just showing up everywhere right now. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is now linked to heart disease, metabolic conditions, autoimmune patterns, digestive issues. So yes, inflammation matters. It's all around us, but not in the way that we usually talk about it. Inflammation isn't the root problem. It's the body's response to something deeper. So inflammation is a symptom. And sometimes it's the body adapting to what it's been experiencing for a long time. So when we only try to suppress it or eliminate it or fix it quickly, we can miss what the body is actually trying to communicate. And we can miss what the body has already adapted to. One of the biggest drivers of this is chronic stress, not just mental stress, not just the obvious kind of stress, but the kind of ongoing low-level pressure where the body never fully settles. Because when the body stays in a stress response, even a quiet one, digestion changes, repair slows down, inflammation increases, not because the body is broken, but because it's prioritizing survival over repair, prioritizing survival over reproduction or elimination. And so over time, the body begins to reorganize itself around that state. It starts to function from that state as if that state is the new normal. And that's when you notice things beginning to shift. Things that used to work stop working. Your body starts to feel more reactive, more sensitive, more unpredictable. And this is where Ayurveda has something really important to offer, because Ayurveda doesn't start with inflammation. It starts with digestion, specifically the strength and quality of your digestive fire, also called Agni. When our digestive fire is strong, the body is able to take in what it receives: food, experiences, emotions, inputs, and process them efficiently, transform it, use what it needs, and then let it go. And when Agni is weakened or digestive fire is weakened through stress, irregular rhythms, irregular routines, depletion, that processing becomes incomplete. And what doesn't fully get processed begins to accumulate. In Ayurveda, this accumulation is called ama, or toxicity. And ama isn't just a concept, right? It's the physical and energetic residue of what the body hasn't been able to clear. The ancients say that this toxicity, that ama, is heavy and it's sticky and it's gray and sludge-like, and it begins to cover everything in the body, the organs in the body, the fascia, the muscles, right? It slows things down. And if left unaddressed, it creates the conditions for inflammation. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, inflammation isn't where the problem starts. It's where we finally notice it. The root is actually further back, further in digestion, in rhythm, in the accumulated load that your body has been carrying without enough support to process it. And this reframe changes everything, because instead of asking, how do I reduce my inflammation, you begin to start asking, what has my body been trying to process that it hasn't had the conditions to fully take in, take what it needs, and let it go. And this is where I see so many women get stuck. They come to me having already tried so much. They've cut out gluten, they've eliminated dairy, they've added anti-inflammatory supplements, they've followed protocols, and they might feel better for a while, sometimes significantly better, and then it comes back. Or they feel better in one area and then something else begins to flare. And they wonder what they're doing wrong. But here's what I want you to hear. You're not doing anything wrong. The approach of restriction and elimination, it addresses the symptom, but it doesn't address the root or the system. It doesn't ask, why the body became reactive in the first place. It doesn't look at what the body has been carrying. It doesn't look at the emotional load. It doesn't support a nervous system that's been running on stress. And the body doesn't respond well to more pressure or more restriction or more rules layered on top of an already depleted system. It responds to support. It responds to rhythm. It responds to conditions that allow it to finally begin to process and clear what it no longer needs. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of inflammation? What if the question becomes, what is my body needing that it hasn't been receiving? And that shift in question changes what you look for and what you find. When you begin to support the system, things shift in a different way. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually. You might notice digestion feels a bit more stable. Energy becomes more consistent. Your body feels less reactive because the system itself is starting to regulate, not just suppressing symptoms, but actually shifting how it's functioning. So I would like to leave you with this, that inflammation is not your enemy. It's not something your body is doing wrong. It's a signal, a message, a response. And sometimes it's a pattern the body has learned from what it's been through, from what you've been through. And instead of trying to silence it, you might begin to listen, to notice, because your body is not working against you. It's trying to bring you back into balance. And if your body has been feeling off, if you're trying to figure out why, this is the next step. My 2-minute quiz, Why is Your Gut Always Off, will help you understand your unique pattern. So instead of trying to fix everything at once, you know exactly where to start. Link is in the show notes. And if this episode resonated, go listen to episode 8. Your digestion isn't broken, it's communicating. And if this episode has resonated with you, if you feel inflamed, maybe you don't know the next step or what all these signals mean, email me at chelsea@chelseajohnsonayurveda.com or DM me at Chelsea Ayurveda on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Be well and nourished. That's it for this edition of The Body Rhythm. Thank you for joining me. Be well and nourished.